to Memorial season that you might hear about more people partaking. You may hear that the count has gone up recently. And this can be confusing. For one thing, it's in direct contrast to a few decades ago when we had fewer people partaking. And additionally, 144,000 isn't a very big number in the grand scale of things. So it's a bit strange to be hearing about more and more people. But why then shouldn't we let that bother us? Why doesn't that concern us? We have 3 points that we'll be discussing tonight primarily. All of our reference material is taken from the Watchtower 2016, January. But we'll start with 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 19. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 19. It says, "Despite that, the solid foundation of God remains standing, having this seal. Jehovah knows those who belong to him, and let everyone calling on the name of Jehovah renounce unrighteousness." And really what we're focusing on here, Jehovah knows those who belong to him. There are a number of different factors that can make a person believe that they should begin partaking. And it's not about taking sides or deciding whether or not someone has the right to. That's not for us to decide. But there are a number of different factors, and the Watchtower actually cites this, that some people may start partaking for a period of time and then eventually decide not to. Others, for a number of different factors, sometimes it's emotional health and so on, might decide to. Whether or not they should is a different story. But Jehovah knows the answer. Jehovah doesn't get distracted by all of this noise and all these extra individuals. So we shouldn't let us be concerned by it. The next scripture that we have is Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. So Matthew 24, 31. It says, "And he will send out his angels with a great trumpet sound, and they will gather his chosen ones together from the four winds, from one extremity of the heavens to the other extremity." So something else to keep in mind, it may seem as though when you hear about this, there's a large concentration in a given country or a given area. But it says here that they would be coming from extremities of the heavens, from the four winds, so north, south, east, west, all of these different areas, not just, for example, Texas, or not just, for example, the United States. Jehovah has chosen people from a wide background and a wide range of cultures. Our next point is Romans chapter 8, verse 28 and 30. Or through 30, excuse me. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 through 30. It says, "We know that God makes all his works cooperate together for the good of those who love God, those who are the ones called according to his purpose. Because those whom he gave his first recognition, he also foreordained to be patterned after the image of his Son, so that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. Moreover, those whom he foreordained are the ones he also called. And those whom he called are the ones he also declared to be righteous. Finally, those whom he declared righteous are the ones he also glorified." What the scripture shows us is that Jehovah has had a plan from the very beginning. It brings out in verse 29, it says that he foreordained these individuals. What's also nice about this is it tells us that these individuals would have a Christ-like attitude, that they would be patterned after the image of his Son. He's not picking randomly at a bunch of people and hoping that they're good people or hoping that they set a good example, but rather, as it says further down, they would be in the image of his Son, and that he had called these ones and declared them righteous. In verse 28, it also says that he makes all his works cooperate together, importantly, for the good of those who love God, so that we can all work conducively and continue to be upbuilt. So, to summarize for this evening, we have our 3 points. Who? 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 19 says that Jehovah knows those who belong to him. We don't have to be concerned about any confusion. Our second point, Matthew 24, 31. From one extremity of the heavens to the other extremity. They'd be coming from a wide range of backgrounds and cultures all around the world. And our third point sort of covers 2 points, why and when. Why Jehovah chooses the ones that he does, and when he chooses them. It says that he foreordained them to be patterned after the image of his Son. One of the other little points that I didn't have enough time to cover completely is, but something that I appreciated personally, is Daniel chapter 4, verse 35. The last sentence in there says, "There is no one who can hinder him or say to him, What have you done? This plan is so vast, and all of these things in the universe are much greater than we could ever fully comprehend. But it's not for us to tell Jehovah how to decide these things or whether or not he's made the right decision, rather to trust in him and continue following his example.